Part 1. The Quiet Complex. I moved into the condo complex in the area we called Pine Ridge Estates a long time ago. It was a good location, but the place itself was very strange. The building was old, maybe 4 or 5 stories high, and incredibly quiet. It was surrounded by a few patches of woods and some dark old oak trees. The fresh air was nice, but the silence was often disturbing. It was the kind of silence that feels heavy, like something bad is waiting. My neighbors were mostly elderly people. They were very isolated and kept to themselves. They rarely smiled. You might see them get their mail once a week, but that was it. No small talk, no friendly waves. They were like ghosts, living in their own small boxes. I had been living there for about 35 years, and lately I knew I had to sell and find a new place. The complex felt like it was dying slowly. I had played near this area as a child. Back then it was full of young families and noise. Now it was just waiting for the final collapse. I felt a deep sadness because of this, a feeling that I was ready to leave all my life and memories in that tired old building. Part 2. The Push to the Courtyard. One evening, just after the sun had fully set, the feeling of dread and necessity became overwhelming. The streetlights flickered on, casting yellow circles on the asphalt. Everything outside looked normal, but inside my head, the strange pull was starting again. Go outside. The silent command repeated. You have to go out now. I fought it. I tried to watch TV, but my heart was pounding too hard. This wasn't a choice. It was a physical need. I felt a profound sense of loss, as if I needed to say a last goodbye to the only home I had ever really known. I grabbed my jacket and keys and left my condo. I took the elevator down to the ground floor and stepped out into the night. The darkness was complete now. The complex courtyard was still. The air was cold, but when my feet hit the patch of brass near the back fence, the ground felt unnaturally cold, like frozen concrete, even though it was late fall. I walked toward the far corner, where a huge old oak tree stood. Its branches were thick and twisted, looking like black claws in the night. I knew, with absolute certainty, that something was terrible. The atmosphere was crushing, like a huge weight was pressing on my chest. I felt an intense sorrow, almost crying for what I was about to lose. I walked slowly, closer and closer to the shadows under the big oak. Part 3. The Black Shape. The moment I reached the tree, the thing appeared. It moved out from the deep shadow, as if the shadow itself had taken form. It was a huge, dog-like creature, not a wolf or a bear, but definitely canine, though impossibly large. It was completely black, a matte, solid color that seemed to absorb all the light. It was easily 15 feet tall, about 4.5 meters, maybe more. Its body was powerful and thick, like a colossal mastiff, but warped and wrong. Its head was low, near the ground, staring directly at me. I saw the teeth. They were long, like white daggers, shining against its black muzzle. Its mouth was stretched into a terrifying, fixed grin. Its eyes, they were the worst. They were not reflective or alive. They were just two enormous, empty, bottomless black holes in the shadow, staring into my soul. My body instantly froze. I couldn't move anything. I was paralyzed by pure, absolute terror. My mind was screaming, "Run! Move!" But my legs were heavy and stiff. I couldn't even make a sound. The creature didn't twitch. It simply held its position, its huge head low. I couldn't tear my eyes away from its dead stare. The fear was so strong it was physical. It tasted like iron in my mouth. Part 4. The Ascent. The moment stretched, silent and agonizing. The black shape was still, but I could feel a growing energy radiating from it. Then, slowly, almost impossibly, the creature began to rise. It was not standing up, it was extending. It grew and grew, stretching toward the clouds. Its shoulders widened, looking like the side of a massive truck. Its paws, though mostly hidden in the grass, were the size of giant stones. It must have been 25 feet tall now, about 7.6 meters, a black column against the night. It moved its massive head with painful slowness toward the apartment building. As it turned, a wave of crushing pressure and sudden heat hit me. I gasped for air, feeling dizzy and weak. The heat was bizarre, a contrast to the cold ground. The creature dipped its head slightly. It was looking at the bottom level of the complex. Specifically, it was fixed on the small, scratched basement window of my particular unit. The message slammed into my mind like a physical blow. It is going inside. It wants my apartment. This gigantic shadow-made beast was coming for the building, for my floor, for my unit. I felt that the silent, shut-in neighbors, the ones who never spoke, were not just reserved, they were waiting. Part 5. The Desperate Run. Suddenly, the paralysis shattered. It felt like a chain breaking violently. My muscles screamed, but they worked. I didn't think. I just turned and ran. I ran like a desperate animal, eyes focused only on the light of the main entrance. I scrambled across the courtyard, my feet slipping on the wet grass. I burst through the front door, ran past the mailboxes, and didn't wait for the elevator. I pounded up the 3 flights of stairs to my condo. Threw myself inside, slamming the steel-reinforced door. I fumbled for the locks, the deadbolt, the chain, the lower lock, securing everything I had. I leaned against the door, hyperventilating, the wood feeling cold and solid against my burning back. A few long minutes passed until my breathing was somewhat normal. I crept to the living room window. Cautiously, I peered down into the dark courtyard. The creature was gone. There was absolutely nothing there. No shadow, no impossibly large shape, no broken branches, no marks on the cold, dark lawn. It had vanished completely. I stared at the spot where the oak tree stood and at my basement window. Everything was silent, empty, and still. But I knew I was not safe. I didn't dare turn on any light. I stayed in the dark, trembling. Part 6. The Immediate Exit. That night, I started to pack a suitcase in the dark. I didn't sleep. I called a real estate agent before dawn and told her I needed to move immediately. Within 48 hours, I had found a small rental house in a bustling, noisy neighborhood miles away. I moved out that weekend. I took only the necessary things. I didn't look back at the Pine Ridge Estates complex. I live well now. I have new neighbors who talk too much, but I am happy about the noise. Yet, I often think about the old, quiet residence I left behind. I wonder if the shadow hound ever got into the basement window. I will never forget the feel of that paralyzing fear, the immense size of the black shape, and its dead, empty eyes. So please listen to my warning. If you ever feel that strange, magnetic need to go outside for no reason, or if you are suddenly overcome by a deep, heartbreaking sadness about leaving your home, think about my story. Think about the silence, the cold ground, and the immense black shadow that waits for you in the dark. Maybe you are next, and maybe it's already looking at your window. Thank you for listening to this terrifying story, That Which I Will Never Forget. Key vocabulary. We focused on powerful adjectives and nouns to create atmosphere, such as disturbing, isolated, profound, colossal, and paralyzed. Grammatical focus. We used narrative devices like descriptive clauses, the building was old, and incredibly quiet. And the past perfect. I had been living there, I had played there, to establish background time frames. Your turn. Have you ever felt an unnatural, inexplicable pull to an empty place? Tell us about it in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more B1, B2 English learning stories. And remember, sometimes silence is just waiting for the last scream. Lock your door and trust the noise. Good night and stay safe.